Welcome to the Becoming Sound podcast, where we dive into the tough stuff and try to find the humor in the hot mess of being an adult child. Join me as we peel back the layers on growing up in dysfunction, navigating substance abuse, mental health challenges, and everything in between. Hi, and welcome back to the Becoming Sound podcast. I am Krista, your host, and I'm so glad that you joined me today. If you are new here, welcome to Becoming Sound. I'm glad that you joined us for the first time. I hope you stick around. If this episode resonates with you, please share it with someone that you love. Please give us a follow and a rating or review. I would be so grateful. I have a wonderful lady on the show today. Her name is Tiffaney Childers, and she is an author and a suicide loss advocate. She lost both of her parents to suicide 1 year and 5 days apart, and later faced permanent nerve damage after routine hip surgery. To say she's been through a lot is a bit of an understatement. She is the author of The Rise Back: Reclaiming Life After Suicide Loss, Pain, and Silence. She also serves with her local loss team in supporting families in the immediate aftermath of suicide loss. Through her work, Tiffaney speaks honestly about survival, grief, and what it takes to rise back. Please take note, there's a trigger warning. We are going to talk about suicide, so take care when listening. This is a bit of a heavier topic and episode today, but I really think it's such an important one. And I know that there are people who are still staying silent that really need the help. So if this episode resonates with you, please pass it on to someone that you think could use this information. For now, let's get started with Tiffaney. Thank you for joining me, Tiffaney. It is so nice to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be on here.
Thanks. I'm so glad. And I know what we're going to talk about today is so important.
Mhm.
And I probably gave a trigger warning in the intro, but I'm going to do it again because we're going to talk about suicide. And if that is triggering for you, or if that's difficult to listen to, please take care when listening. I really encourage you to stick around because I'm sure there's some huge takeaways and some big learnings from this
Mhm.
wonderful lady. So
Thank you.
Tiffany, all the way from Texas.
Mhm.
I
Tiffany from
think
Texas.
we're just going to start with your story because I know that it's a hard story, but it's just such an important topic,
Mhm.
and I want just people to kind of hear. So just give us kind of a synopsis of your story and go back a little bit and tell us
Mhm.
what went on for you.
I'd love to. I'd love to. And, for a long time, I didn't talk about this and I stayed
Yeah.
silent. And I think that's the whole thing about suicide loss and
Hmm.
suicide is the stigma and the silence around it. So I am happy to tell you my story. Not that it's a story of anything wonderful, but it's been about 18 years. I lost my mom to suicide, and then 1 year and 5 days later, I lost my dad as well.
Wow.
Now they weren't married; they hadn't been for quite some time, so it was just an absolute shock for both of them.
Hmm. And you were an
Just
adult at this
mhm,
time,
mhm. I was early 30s. I was about
early
31.
30s. Okay.
So just had two small kids. My kids were like 2 and 4.
Hmm.
Been married about 7 years, so you talk about just shocking. And
Yeah.
like I said, this was 18 years ago, so there was no frame of reference for anything, what to do.
Yeah. Well, no one was
Nothing.
talking about it.
No. Oh, no, no, and you just said the person passed away, and that's it. You did not speak about it, you didn't talk about it. It was very hush hush. Um, now I love that we talk about it, but back then you sure didn't. And there
Mhm.
wasn't support groups, there wasn't anything on the internet. I mean, there wasn't even any internet,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know?
Can
We
you give
had
us a
one
little
local
insight
church.
into, like, how that came about for them, or do you know a lot of
Um,
kind
you
of the
know
backstory?
you know, sometimes there's signs, sometimes there isn't. With my
Mhm,
mom, we did have a lot of signs. She had a lot of medical issues. She had multiple sclerosis and she had been in remission for a long time and then it came back. She had hip surgeries and back surgeries. So the doctors had put her on a plethora of
mhm.
pills and narcotics and opioids and antidepressants and, just everything that you could imagine. The methadone patches, when the pain pills stopped working, those are basically a synthetic form of heroin.
Yeah.
Um, and she was completely addicted, completely her mind just was not, clear. She wasn't clear-headed or clear-minded, and so I think that's what led to hers.
Yeah.
Um, and she ended up taking a bunch of pills and leaving my brother and sister and I a note.
Yeah.
And, I just didn't know anything at that time. That was back when the opioid epidemic was new. Hydrocodones were just out on the market.
Mhm.
OxyContin was just out on the market. I would have helped her had I known what to do or had I known she needed help. I mean, I was so young and just trying to raise kids that
Yeah.
it was just shocking. Looking back, it shouldn't have been, but in the moment, I had no idea. I
Mhm.
had no idea pills rewired somebody's brain, and I think she just felt like a burden and felt like that she just no longer needed to be here.
Yeah.
So, dealt with that. We were still trying to get the notes out of evidence. The police officers took them as evidence, and we talk about this in my loss team that I'm a volunteer for, which we'll get into that later. But a lot of times, a suicide mimics a murder. So when the police officers come,
Mhm.
especially if a weapon is used, they have to go and figure out what is going on, what has happened. Did someone take, did someone outside the home come in and take their life, or did they take their own life? It kind of mimics
Mhm.
things. So you have to let the police officers do their job and take their pictures. And so they took the notes into evidence, all the pills and the bottles and all that stuff into evidence. And we didn't probably get that back for like 8 months.
Oh, wow.
So it was, and the police officers were not kind. They were not forthcoming. Wouldn't tell us anything. We were just stuck outside thinking, what in the world has gone on? It's totally different now. The police officers are so wonderful now, but that was kind of the same way with my dad. So, we were just still reeling over my mom's death. And, I get a phone call that from a friend that lived 3 doors down from my dad, and we were at a baseball game. My son's best friend had a birthday party at a baseball game. So my husband and kids and I were there, and I got a call from my friend who lived 2 doors down. She said, "I don't know what's going on at your dad's house, but there's cop cars everywhere." So I loaded up my sister and I, and thank goodness I didn't bring my kids with me, but, loaded up and got there, and my stepmother was outside just with her head in her hands, sitting in a
Oh.
chair, and, I mean, my sister and I just dropped to the ground. I mean, we didn't know, but we kinda knew. I don't know, you just had that feeling that something bad had happened, and we just wailed and wailed and wailed in the front yard. And it was the same thing with the police officers. His was a self-inflicted gunshot wound,
Mhm.
and we had no idea. They wouldn't let us in. They wouldn't talk to us. They wouldn't do anything. Just pacing outside in the front yard in the summer heat. It was awful. It was miserable, and it's shocking, and you don't know where to go from there. You just kind of pick up and you have the funeral and you move on. And so
Yeah.
I think that's what I did. I kinda just shoved everything down. Like I said, I had no
Mhm.
frame of reference, and so I did what my body knew to do, and that was to survive.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
it.
and
That's
I
what I
think
did.
that's a common thing too. I mean,
Mhm,
this is a little bit different situation, you're just reeling from one tragedy into
mhm,
another and
mhm.
without even time to process or grieve and yeah, not a lot of people were talking about this. And there
Oh,
wasn't
no.
a lot of instant support of people reaching out to you.
No.
And so that, yeah, I
No.
can't I can't even imagine.
No.
Um so speaking of the pushing down, how did that kind of play out for you for the first few years?
Oh, for 18 years, survival worked wonderfully for me until it
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah,
And, I finally had to quit shaming myself for surviving because that's the only thing I knew how to do. That's
Right.
the only place my body knew to be in, and it saved me. I had to stop shaming myself about a year ago for just living in survival mode because it kept me alive. It kept me safe, and I know that sounds so strange, but it kept me raising my kids, going to work, living in this crazy world. It saved me. It's what I
Mhm.
had to do. And I
Yeah.
had to stop shaming myself for that. And I think once I stopped doing that, I was like, okay, I had to. I had to survive. Talk about abandonment issues with
Yeah.
losing both of your parents. That
Mhm.
just was, it changed the trajectory of my life. Trauma does that.
Yeah.
And I had to start realizing that, that was just straight up trauma.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
And I guess
Oh,
the
yeah.
old saying that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger is absolutely true.
Yeah. I think there's a tipping point to that too,
Mhm,
and we're
mhm.
we're surviving, but we're not actually thriving.
Yeah.
We're
We're not
literally
living.
it's this mode you get in so that you can function on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And
And
in
back
a way,
then,
it
I didn't.
does help you,
Yeah.
but
Back
it
then,
also
I didn't know
hinders
I
you.
had the option to heal. I didn't even know what healing was
Yeah,
back then, you know?
I know. Isn't that
I didn't
crazy?
know it was an option.
Yeah. So when did you first start to kind of realize that, or what was the catalyst that really put you into that mode where you're like, okay, I've had enough?
Um, it was a year ago, so I'm 51. It was when I was 50, and yeah, it was 18 years before I realized that I needed to heal, and let me tell you, I had a hip surgery
Hmm.
that kinda went south. It was unsuccessful, and I ended up getting permanent nerve damage from that,
Oh, wow.
and that was the point where I thought, "Okay, I can't keep running. I can't keep hiding. I can't keep shoving this down. I have to be intentional, and I have to heal."
Hmm.
So, what I have is a condition called chronic regional pain syndrome. I had never heard of it before. I didn't even know it existed.
Hmm.
But what it is, um, my nerves constantly going, like the fire alarm is still going
Right.
even when
Like they're
there's no pain
firing all the
anymore.
time.
Mhm. Even when there's no pain anymore. So it's in my foot, it's in my right foot, which is
Oh,
so
wow.
bizarre because I had a hip surgery, but it's in my foot because a lot of your nerves are in your feet.
Hmm.
Um, I think and like I said, there's not a lot of information out there about it, but I think it's unprocessed grief
Yeah.
that came to the surface that was almost like love and loss was, like, too big for my psyche
Hmm.
to hold. So, my body held it for me, and
Until
it's
one
just
day your
coming out
body's
as
like,
pain.
yeah, until one day your body's like, we can't
Yeah,
hold this anymore.
yeah. It
Yeah.
said, "I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done." So, I still live with pain, I still live with
Hmm.
love, I still live with loss, but I had to really intentionally heal. And I'm a burn the candle at both ends kinda girl. I mean, that's all I've done for 18 years. Go, 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 and I had to really sit down and think, "Okay, what do I have to do here?" And it was small intentional things. It wasn't some big, y "Aha, let's do this." It was very small. It was very intentional, and I'm so intentional about healing nowadays. It's I'm obsessed with it.
So what did you start with? Like, what was one of
Well,
the
I created
practices?
my Rise Up method, and I talk about this in my book. So, and I'll just briefly go over it. But the R is reach out before you shut down because I promise you, you cannot do it alone. And I thought, if I just do this all alone, I can handle this. I don't want to burden anybody with my problems or my troubles, but you have to reach out before you shut down. You can't do it alone. Community is everything. The I is ink it out, and that's just journaling. I'd never journaled before in my life. I thought journaling was for little girls with puff pens and paint pens and
And
markers.
locked little,
Yeah,
diary
just put a
boxes,
little
right?
block on your diary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what
I
I
didn't
used to
know what
think too.
journaling was.
Yeah.
But wow, you have to have a place for your thoughts to go because otherwise they're just gonna sit in your body. You have to get it out on paper, and I know that sounds so cheesy, but that was monumental for me. The S is you have to sit with it. I had to learn to sit with all these emotions. Number 1, I couldn't even walk because my foot or my hip, and I had to sit with all these things going, "What is that?" And I mean, just right there hurt, and I kept thinking, "Oh, what hurts?" That was grief. That was
Yeah.
grief that I finally let my body feel. I thought, "I'm having a heart attack." That was grief.
Yeah.
The ease, embrace who you're becoming. You're not gonna be who you were. I wasn't ever gonna go back to who I was, but I was absolutely okay with that, and you have to embrace that you're not gonna be the same person. You're gonna become someone different. The you is unlearn all the lies. I had to, at some point, give myself permission to let go of the responsibility for my parents' choices. And I talk about that a lot in my book as well, that sometimes it's so hard to find joy after a suicide loss. A suicide loss is so heavy anyways. There's just no neat way to package that.
No.
But I had to I wanted joy in my life. I needed joy in my life, and I almost felt guilty for having joy because I felt like I still needed to be sad and still let it, you know, uh, I had to realize that their choices were not gonna cost me my entire life anymore.
Mhm.
That was huge.
Yeah.
And then the P is protect your peace. Protect your peace at all costs. I, gave up a lot of friends. I gave up a lot of situations and things that I did. Like I said, burning the candle at both ends, and, I just had to. I had to protect my peace. No one else is gonna do it for you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking to a girl who used to do that too. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of what you're saying just mirrors so much. I have not experienced suicide loss in my life, but I have
Mhm,
been through a lot of addiction as a family
mhm,
member. You know,
mhm,
my dad, my ex husband,
mhm,
and my son. And
mhm,
so a lot of the things you talk about are actually a little more universal than you think
mhm,
is, I just thought if I could push it
mhm.
down, it
Yeah.
would go away. And the same thing happened to me. It actually come as physical pain in my body.
Mm,
And that was my it was like a wake up call.
yeah.
So
Isn't it wild? I never even knew that could
yeah,
happen, ever. And
it is
then once you start
amazing what stress can do
wow.
when
You
you
know what, I've
push it
always
down.
heard stress will kill you, but I sure didn't realize it would, do this in
Yeah.
chronic pain.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's
yeah.
really amazing when you stop and think
Mhm,
about how powerful we
mhm,
are and how
mhm.
powerful our minds and our bodies are. And we just
Yes,
don't give enough credit to speaking the truth and writing, like you said, writing that
oh,
stuff down, getting those thoughts out of
yeah,
your head. It just keeps people stuck. It keeps
yeah,
people sick.
yeah.
And not just in the
It did
suicide
me.
world, but also in
Yeah,
addiction, in
yeah.
so many things in life, right? So,
Mhm,
I mean,
mhm,
your story is both
mhm,
heartbreaking and inspiring too, because
mhm. If
you
I can do it, anybody can do it, I
yeah,
promise you.
yeah. And you
And,
realize you just
staying
can't bury that
yeah,
anymore.
yeah, and staying in that toxic place, oh, it's so
Mhm.
toxic.
Yeah,
Such a
it is.
toxic place to sit, and absolutely people need to grieve. That is what you have to do. That's not a moral failure, you grieve, that's not depression, that's a natural occurrence after you lose somebody,
Yeah.
and I think doctors are really quick to medicate and put people on antidepressants and take this and take that, but it's actually a natural process to grieve, but you cannot stay stuck there, it's such a toxic place to sit.
Yeah, no kidding. So, how did losing your parents really shape your relationship with trust and being vulnerable and all that stuff? I mean,
Oh, yeah,
how did that
everything.
look in those 18 years?
It changed everything. I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel safe with anybody. I almost had, like, the mindset of, "Well, right, who's gonna die next?" You know,
Mm.
kinda the doomsday thing, and your body
Yeah.
starts thinking, "Okay, what's gonna happen next? Who's gonna die next?" My brother passed away of pancreatic cancer about 6 years ago, and I think that was even sadder than losing my parents because, I mean, we my sister and my brother and I are so close,
Mhm.
and watching that was tragic. It was tragic. And so after that, I think I crossed an invisible line that I didn't even know was there as far as self-medicating. You talk about addiction. I mean, mine was alcohol. I just decided I'm gonna go ahead and self-medicate.
Mhm.
75% of suicide loss survivors do. That's a
Yeah.
very natural thing. I think I crossed an invisible line and thought, I gotta just bury myself. I'm gonna just stay silent. I'm just gonna drink, go to work. My kids were already out of the house and raised and gone. And it was kind of an invisible line I didn't know that I crossed. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you think being a woman makes that even a little more challenging?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Can you talk about that?
Uh, I don't know. Women are just so different than men. Um, Men compartmentalize things, and I've been married 26 years, and don't get me wrong, it has been a rough go, especially after my mom and my dad's death, because my husband was just like, "Oh, it's okay, let's just go on, and we're just not gonna ever mention suicide again," and we just never did, and I just kept thinking, "Well, why are you not recognizing that I need to talk about it?" And so I just thought, well, we just can't talk about it. So that was another whole issue. Even in my home, we didn't talk about it. With my kids, we didn't talk about it. We do now, but my poor kids probably thought, what in the world happened to my grandma and grandpa?
Yeah.
We just told them that they died and we went to the funeral and that was it. But men compartmentalize and they can do that. They can just bottle it up and then put it up here on the shelf and, save it for a rainy day. Where
Yeah.
women, gosh, it affects everything we do, to how we parent, to how we do our jobs, to how we get through our day.
Yeah. And I think we're just so conditioned by society and by how we're raised to
Mhm,
take everything on and
mhm.
just not
I know.
complain about it, you
I know.
know?
How
So
did that even come
I
about?
don't know.
How did that c it's generational,
It's
you know?
absolute
You
BS,
see
but it's
you see grandma
crazy.
doing everything, you see
Yeah.
mom doing everything, and then we need to do everything.
Yeah.
Isn't that
And
crazy?
then that
How
translates when you do have grief or you go through trauma,
Mhm,
that translates into
mhm,
suck it up, just
mhm,
be quiet. And I know
mhm,
men do get that too, you know, it's like,
mhm,
boy,
mhm,
guys don't cry, don't show your
mhm,
emotions. But women also have
mhm,
the same thing. And our
mhm,
need to show our emotions
mhm,
is just incredibly strong. And
mhm,
yet we
mhm,
push that down.
mhm. But I
And
think men push it down even more
oh, yeah.
because the suicide rate for men is
Yeah.
astronomical,
Yeah.
and I
And
think that's
men are
also
in the
their
same
condition
situation.
to suck it up, be a
Yeah.
man, move on, don't talk about your feelings, and that is heartbreaking for me
Yeah.
because the suicide rate for men is
Yeah.
it's really sad.
Okay, sorry for the interruption, but I have to tell you about an amazing opportunity. If you have ever thought I should probably learn how to protect myself, this would be your sign. My friend Alicia Yubera is launching 21 Days to Unbreakable. It's a 21 day self defense and confidence training created specifically for women. This isn't about fear, it's about embodied confidence. It's about trusting your instincts and knowing that you can handle yourself. You'll get short video lessons, a guided workbook, practice drills, and community support, all from the comfort of your own home. Enrollment opens on March 2nd. You can use the code Becoming Sound 2026 for $50 off. Highly recommend. The link will be in the show notes. It is, yeah. That's a tough one for sure.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm,
Talk a little bit about the stigma, and I know you work with a
mhm,
lost team and
mhm,
that you help people through this kind of stuff now. And
mhm.
talk a little bit about the stigma and how that keeps people silent.
I always say when someone dies from a heart attack, we don't say, well, gosh, they shouldn't have eaten fast food for 20 years or they shouldn't have smoked for 30 years.
Mhm.
We go to the funeral, we celebrate them, we talk about them, we honor their memory. And when someone dies by suicide, it's almost the blame game. Like, how could they do this? Why would they do this to their family, to their kids, to their wife? Why didn't they ask for help? We go into a complete different mode. Um, so that's the stigma, and a heart attack might stop a heartbeat, but so does hopelessness, and they both deserve our grace.
Yeah.
So that's the stigma with it. Nobody wants to talk about it, and I think it's almost too much for people to talk about.
Yeah.
And, I lost a lot of friends after my parents did this, just because they couldn't stick around, they didn't know what to say. It's hard for someone
Mm.
to sit in that sadness.
Yeah.
It's really hard. And I think people are in general are fixers and they wanna fix people and they wanna make it all go away, and it's not going away.
Yeah.
And they don't know what to say. So, I mean, I lost a lot of friends, and I gained a lot of friends as well. But
Yeah.
so when I found the LOSS team, which the LOSS is LOSS, it's Local Outreach to Suicide Survivors.
Uh-huh.
Here in Amarillo, they created this team almost 6 years ago, and it is strictly built of suicide loss survivors and mental health professionals. And so we go as a two-man team when we get a call from the police officers, and we show up within 15 minutes of a suicide loss.
Oh, wow.
We're not there to fix things. We're not there to, tell them anything. We are there to say, I have been there. What do you need? It could be something as simple as letting the dogs out if they're barking and going crazy and there's a million police officers there. Or,
Yeah.
I've held a baby while mama is trying to talk to the police officers. I've fed babies. I have held a woman's hair back while she's puking in the toilet and gotten a wet washcloth. What can I do? It's the ministry of presence is what
Yeah.
it is. I'm
Yeah.
here. What do you need? We give them resources on how to write an obituary because, I mean, not your average person doesn't know how to do that if you've never had to write one before.
Mhm.
If they need scene restoration, we contract with a local company that will come provide scene restoration, which is wonderful because back when this happened with my dad, it was so expensive. And we hired this company and they didn't even know what to do. They were like, wow, this is like hazmat situation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they didn't even know what to do back then. So now, we have the company come and that way the family does not have to even think about it or worry about it. It will be cleaned up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we do that. We give them all sorts of support group information. We have at least 4 support groups every month
Mhm.
and, mental health professionals and, what they can do, who they can call. We're there just providing information
Yeah.
because suicide loss survivors are 7 times more likely to take their lives themselves.
Wow.
It's a huge statistic.
That's crazy. I mean, they
Yeah,
need immediate support, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So when I found this team, I thought, oh, it's people that know what I've been through.
Mm.
They've been through it as well. So it was this community that I felt safe and
Yeah.
I felt loved and I felt seen. And I think that is so huge. You have to find your people and you have to find a community of like minded people.
Yes, I could not agree more. Like,
Mhm,
I just you should shout that from the rooftops because when you
mhm,
go through something, whatever kind of trauma it is,
mhm,
when you find someone, a group of people, or even just a couple people who understand what you've been through, it's like
mhm,
you're not alone anymore. It's
mhm,
someone has lifted the
mhm.
bricks off your shoulders, and you can
Yeah.
finally just take a breath for the
Yeah.
first time in what might seem forever,
Yes. That's
you
what
know?
it
So,
felt like was a big, huge exhale of, oh, finally.
yeah, finally
Yeah.
someone gets it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love going to support group because, support
Mhm.
group is for the newly bereaved. And, it sometimes these people are 7 days out from a loss and I'm 18 years from a loss. So I want to provide them a little bit of hope that I think that's such a big word, hope that it does get better
Yeah.
and you can get through this.
Yeah.
But,
Do you do this full time? Like, is this now something that you do
mhm,
for
I'm not paid to do it. I'm just a volunteer.
are you? Nice.
Before my surgery, I was on call every single day, and the calls were getting harder and harder and harder, and I couldn't shake them. I
Yeah.
couldn't shake them. I think so I took a little break after I had my surgery. I've been back probably about 4 months now, but I'm not taking on the calls as many days because
Mhm.
I had to remember that those are hard calls. They're
Yeah.
heavy calls, and my body feels it.
Mhm. That's the
So
P
I
in
had
protect
to
your peace.
yeah,
Yeah,
yep, I had to protect my peace and step back a little bit, but
yeah,
I just man, I just my heart that's where my heart is.
yeah,
That's where my heart
yeah.
is.
Well, good for you for stepping up
Mhm,
in such a difficult situations
yeah,
and being able to be present for the people that need, the help. And
mhm,
I can imagine that that just fills it's almost like a full circle moment where it fills your cup to feel like you're giving back to someone who
it
really
does,
needs it, right?
it
And what
does,
you needed at the time.
yeah. Oh, I wish I'd had somebody at the time.
Yeah.
Just sit
And
there with me. I
it's so
wish I'd have had
powerful.
somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It really fills your cup
yeah,
full of purpose for
yeah,
sure when you do that. So
yeah.
that's beautiful. I
Thank
want to
you.
talk a little bit about your book. And it's called The Rise Back. And it just
Mhm,
actually launched on October 30th,
yeah.
right?
Mhm, yep,
Awesome.
couple months
And
ago.
hit the bestsellers list,
It did, it hit the
which is
bestseller on
amazing.
Amazon. I was so happy.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome. And
yeah,
honestly, I think because people need this information,
yeah,
people need to hear the
yeah.
raw, true stories and the hope that you give. And so congratulations on that. Do you
Thank
want to talk a
you.
little bit about your book and
It's basically, memoir slash
Mhm,
kinda self-development, kinda the things that I did to kinda help with my rise back,
mhm,
and then just kind of a memoir through, my life. It's got in there how to talk to kids, because I know that we didn't know at the time what to tell my kids, and so
mhm,
I always thought if we said the word that suicide, that maybe we would be giving them permission to go ahead and have an
mhm.
out if things got bad, and that's not the case.
Yes, I've
We
heard that
left
before.
yeah, we left my poor kids to kinda fill in the blank themselves and make up their own narrative of what happened, and I think that was even worse.
Yeah.
So but, use age appropriate language, but it's got some things like that in there because I had no idea what to tell my kids.
Mhm,
And, thank goodness they've grown into incredible human beings, but, um, it just kinda talks about things like that and what to do and, about the lost team, and I think the lost teams are all over the country, and if you can
mhm.
find one in your area and volunteer, do it.
Yeah. I have to look up, stuff for Canada too, for Alberta. I know we
Me
do
too.
have
I'm not sure about Canada.
yeah, I know we do have a lot of resources, but it's just getting
Mhm,
them out there in
mhm.
public, so I will definitely look something up and just post,
Yeah,
in the show notes that is
yeah, I
something
would be
similar to the
interested to
lost team.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I will look that up and for
yeah.
sure. Um, what's kinda one message that when you work with the lost team, what's kinda one message that you try to get across with people who have literally just arrived at this raw edge?
Mm. We really don't get a message across at the moment because it's so chaotic.
Mhm,
It's just chaos when you have the police officers there, the coroner, the cleanup team, the neighbors. You have every nosy neighbor coming down to see what's
yeah,
happened. I've had to go down the street and talk to every single neighbor. It's okay. There's been a death. Um, go back inside,
yeah,
because people get
damage
worried, especially
control
if you know
almost.
the neighbor and,
Yeah,
it's a tight knit community.
yeah,
So we just let them know we're there. It's really just the ministry of presence at that
mhm,
time. Then once we get into a support group and, we have calls with them afterwards is really when we kind of get the message of hope and healing and all of that.
yeah.
Because when you are in that fresh, raw grief, you're not going to remember anything anyway.
No, that's true. Yeah, so
Yeah. Yeah.
follow-up is definitely important, right? So, yeah,
Very
do that.
important. And yeah, create that bond with them.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about grief. What's one thing that you would, like after going through this process and really coming to a lot of aha moments and in honestly the short time, only the last year or so, what's one thing about grief that you've kind of dismantled for yourself?
Mm. Mm. Um, it's a never ending, cycle. The stages of grief, I think years ago that I can't even remember a woman wrote a book on the 5 stages of grief, and it's kinda like, you get through acceptance, and then you get through denial, and you get through, bargaining,
Mhm.
but it's just a circle. I mean, you might go through all of those in one day. You might go through
Right.
denial, bargaining, and acceptance in 1 hour. It's not a stair step where you finish one and then you go on to the next. It's a complete loop. It's a complete circle of grief.
Mhm.
And you have to grieve. It's so necessary. Don't do like I did. I just didn't I thought, "Oh, if I start crying, I'll never stop." Cry, get it out. Get it out. Let someone sit with you in it that's safe and can sit with you while you cry. I think that us as women think we should never cry. And I think men as well.
Yeah.
Men as well. I shouldn't even say women, men as well. Cry it out.
Yeah, it
My
seems like
boss
it
always says cobwebs are the or tears are the cobwebs to the clears out the cobwebs in the soul, and I think that too.
exactly.
Now I could cry at those dog commercials on the TV.
I d I do too.
I'm
Once
on the
you start
couch, just
letting the
tears
floodgates
rolling,
open. Yeah.
but I never let myself before.
No.
So let yourself grieve and realize that if you're having a bad day, it's okay to go home and lay on the couch or go to bed.
I
Excuse me.
think that's one I had another, guest on too who just said, like, "What do you think's gonna happen if you start to cry? Like, eventually you'll stop,
Yeah,
eventually you'll stop
yeah,
and no one like,
yeah,
nothing's gonna happen. You're
yeah.
you're just gonna let that out, and you're gonna
Mhm.
feel so much better. So what if you got puffy eyes?
I
So what if"
know.
right? But
I
that's what
know.
needs to happen, and we're so afraid to let
Why?
that go, to let go,
Yeah.
uh in thinking that we won't be able to handle it, but
Mhm.
we're built for that
We
if we
are.
just allow, you know?
We are.
Yes, I think
We
that's so
are. We
important.
are designed for that.
Yeah,
And, that's the gift of pain and suffering as well. Don't waste your pain and don't waste your suffering.
yeah, yeah, beautifully
Get it
said.
out and do something with it.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So tell me, what are you doing now to help you thrive?
Well, I with this pain in my foot, I had real fear of the future. I thought I'm not going to be able to work. I'm not going to be able to do anything. It's really, really difficult to even walk. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to just get up and walk as much as it hurts. I'm going to do it and, walk to the mailbox. And that was maybe 10 steps. Then got a little further and got a little further. And my husband would make fun of me. I had to wear shoes that were like 2 sizes too big because I
Mhm.
had the touch of anything on my foot was excruciating. So I was like a little newborn baby trying to learn how to walk with shoes. And he would just giggle at me, but he walked with me right beside me. And now I walk up to 5 miles a day.
Oh, good
That
for
is
you.
a
Yeah,
non-negotiable for me. I walk, I get sunshine, that is medicine for the soul.
that's awesome.
Journaling is a non-negotiable for
Journaling.
me.
Yeah.
Um,
How did you start with the journaling?
that, I started small. I started with write down 3 things that I'm grateful for every day, and you have to start small. And when you're in chronic pain, you're not grateful for a whole lot.
Yeah,
And it was something as small as my favorite pen has ink in it. I didn't spill my coffee. I get to
yeah.
have coffee today. Just little things of 3 things I'm grateful for.
Mhm.
And then that turned into a whole journal of feelings, and I can write stuff. It's like I threw up on the page, and it's so funny. I go back and look, and I'm like, I remember exactly when I wrote that, what I was feeling, and it's out of me now. I don't have to go back to that. It's not
Right.
sitting in me,
Yeah,
taking up space
so
and making
important.
me angry or sad or,
Mhm.
So, yeah, it was little, just 3 things that you're grateful for.
Yeah, that's awesome. When did you start writing your book?
I started writing my book. It took me 6 months. I started it in May.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah,
fast.
came out in the end of October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
honestly, that's the power of journaling too, is
it
because when
is, it
you
is,
start
and once I started journaling, I journaled a whole book.
yeah, exactly. It's like
Yeah,
the floodgates open in such a
yeah,
creative way that
yeah,
it allows you to get all of that stuff out. And
and
people sometimes don't even realize that all that stuff they hold in is literally in a book. It's a
yeah,
book waiting to be written.
absolutely, I would recommend to anybody write a book, and it's so vulnerable. I've never been this vulnerable. I've always stayed silent. I didn't tell people about my parents.
Mhm.
And it was the most vulnerable thing I'd ever done. Every night I'd go to bed, I'd be like, "Nope, I'm calling the publisher, I'm not doing it." And I would wake up in the morning with a fire in my soul and be like, "I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Let's go." It's so crazy from morning to night, and then at night you're tired and you're like, "No, I don't wanna do it anymore."
So how do you feel now that you've written it? Like now that you're speaking out, now that
Amazing,
now, yeah, it feels good.
amazing.
Yeah.
And I had to let go of what people thought of me. I don't care anymore. I don't. And you can think what you want. And this is my life. I can't change it. If I could go back and change it, I would have already. And I'm
Mm.
so proud of myself and, worried about with my kids. My kids are 22 and 25 years old. And, I was like, Mom's going to write a book. And they were so proud of me
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
so encouraging. And my husband was so encouraging. And I asked him, I said, "You wanna read it?" When it launched, he said, "No, I lived it." And I said, "But, and so he did
Aw,
finally read it, and he's like,
yeah.
"Okay, you made me cry." You officially made me cry.
Yeah, that's
So
amazing.
they've been so encouraging and so supportive. It's been
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, I
Never in a
think
million years did I think that I would write a book, ever,
yeah,
ever,
good
ever.
for you. That's amazing. Yeah,
Thank
and I
you.
I think ultimately when you go through, something like you've gone through, which is a lot, and not the average person has to deal with that, you know?
Mhm,
But I
mhm,
think when you go through that, ultimately, when your family starts to see you heal and they start to see you rise up,
mhm,
they're just so incredibly happy for
mhm,
them. And that
mhm.
spills over.
Yeah,
It's like that ripple effect that you were talking
yeah,
about earlier when you're
yeah,
pushing things down. That's a ripple effect.
yeah,
It goes to your kids, to your family, to this. But when you start to rise up, that's another ripple effect.
yeah,
And so you're actually impacting so many people around
yeah,
you that you don't even realize. Especially if your book became a bestseller, you're impacting people you may never know,
yeah.
that you've changed their lives. So that's pretty
I had
amazing.
my sister-in-law give me, a word right before my book launched, and it was like a virtual book launch, and she called me and she's like, "I just keep thinking of the word longevity," and she said, "Tiff, your book is gonna help people that don't even know they need help yet."
Yeah,
And it's the word longevity keeps coming to mind, and it's gonna be like an evergreen book that's gonna help people
yeah,
years from
that's
now
beautiful.
that don't even know that they're gonna have a loss.
Yeah,
And
100%.
that
And
I mean, that touched me,
yeah,
and I thought, "Yeah." So and I wanted my kids to see that anything is possible. Anything is possible.
yeah. And no matter what you go through, you can still choose to
Yeah,
rise up, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah, I love that. Tell people where they can find your book and where they can reach out to you. Do you have a before you do that, do you have a program or anything that you run people through, or do you have like if people reach out to you?
Oh, you can always reach out to me. I
Yeah.
do not have a program right now. I don't have any kind of coaching program. That's something I'm probably going to think about in the future.
Uh-huh.
Um, it would probably be group
Yeah.
at first, because I think people need to be around other people and talk
Uh-huh.
about the same thing, and so it'd probably be something group, but right now you can buy my book on Amazon, and you can buy it on Barnes& and Noble online, and you can find me on Instagram. My name is spelled weird, it has a weird E in it, so it's Tiffany Childers, and you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, yeah,
That's
and I would
awesome.
love if you bought my book, and if you bought my book, I would love your feedback.
Okay, well, I will post all of that in the show notes, but
Yeah,
I also just wanted to thank you. And I had an idea actually when you were just mentioning the program.
Mhm.
I've had so many people reach out to me in the addiction world, especially parents, because that's
Mhm.
kind of how I've helped people a lot. And I have a lot of people in my personal life that reach out, friends or clients, whatever. And they just don't even know that there's online support meetings
I know.
for parents
I
of
know.
addicts. So if you're looking at doing any group stuff, I'm just going to put it out there that there are so many people around the world who would love to be able to join a Zoom group in the
Uh,
comfort and safety
yeah.
of their own home where they
Yep.
get to just listen. They
Yep.
can talk if they want, kind of like just a support group, kind of like
Yeah.
when you meet with other parents, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I love it. Yeah.
yeah.
'Cause
So,
the
I
hardest
mean, if
part is
you have
showing up.
any
Yeah.
ideas on that or you want to bring that, I know that there are people who are not just in your community, but
Uh-huh.
people who would zoom
Yeah.
in on a group meeting
I
and
would
just to
love that.
listen to other people who've
Yeah.
gone through this experience
I would love
and to gain some insight. So,
I would
yeah,
absolutely love that. I will
yeah,
definitely let you know,
yeah,
and
please.
yeah, if you could help spread the word, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I would for sure. I'd be
We're all in
biggest
this
advocate
together.
here if you did because I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many people I pointed in the direction of online parent to parent
Yeah.
meetings. We don't
Yeah.
have a lot here in person in Edmonton. We have a few, but just they're so afraid to reach out. They're so
Mhm.
afraid to even just take that step and go to
Mhm.
that group meeting.
It's
Um,
vulnerable.
yeah, you have to be
The
vulnerable,
hardest
but
part is showing up. Yeah.
that's right. But there's something
Mhm.
about being online too, where you can still stay in the safety of your home.
I
And
agree.
if you need to leave
I
your
agree.
camera off, you can, or whatever the
I
case
agree.
is. Just to hear someone else talk about an
Yeah.
experience that might resonate with you is so huge.
Well, I need to figure out your group too, because I have so many people that I know that deal with addiction and
Yeah.
family members that deal with
Yeah.
addiction. I would love to get your information on that as well.
Yeah. There's just not, I mean, we're starting to talk about it and it's great.
Mhm.
There's not enough for what we
There's
need,
not
right? It's
enough.
just not
There's
enough.
not. And it's
And
just getting the
suicide
word
and
out there.
addiction go
Yeah.
hand in hand. So
Yeah. I think so too.
yeah, it's an epidemic. So
It is it's a mental health crisis and it
it
is an
is.
epidemic. I
Yeah,
completely agree.
for sure, for sure. Well, I is there anything else that you want to leave with us or any words of wisdom that you might have?
I don't know, sometimes I think my words of wisdom are, oh, but I do believe, our transformation comes from our darkest moments, whether I think we have to take it as a blessing, and we have to do something. Don't waste your suffering.
Yeah, I love that. It's so important to take that to heart
Yeah,
and reach out if you need help.
absolutely, reach out before you shut down.
Yeah, for sure.
Reach out to me anytime, I'm always available.
Yeah, me too. Well, thank you so much, Tiffany,
Oh,
for
thank
joining me.
you. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. Thank
Me
you.
too.
Thank you
It's
for
so
providing a safe space as well.
yeah,
That's so
100%.
important to me.
It is so important, and I
Mhm.
love getting this kind of message out to more people who need to hear it because you never know who might listen to that one
Right,
sentence that they needed to
right.
hear to not take their
Exactly
life
right.
or to reach out,
Exactly
right?
right.
So
Reach
thank you
out.
so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for joining me today on another episode of Becoming Sound. If this episode resonated with you in some way, please share it with someone you care about. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It helps to get this information out to more people who may need it. If you have a sec, I would love a follow on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. While you're there, hit the 5-star rating and give me a review. When you're scrolling, follow me on my social platforms, and I would love to hear your comments and feedback. Have a fabulous day, lots of love and gratitude from me. Please note, the views, information, and opinions expressed during the Becoming Sound podcast series are solely those of the individuals involved. The content of this podcast is to educate, inform, and for entertainment purposes only. This podcast series and the content presented does not constitute for medical or other professional advice or services. If you are in crisis or in need of help, please contact your medical or professional provider.